Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We're going to work our way through the dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all of these topics, sectors, looking for potential investment opportunities. I'm riding that fine line or trying to of risk reward and maximizing the probability of success and these big asymmetry setups. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, you can sign up, use that Mayday coupon code, 50% off the first month, but first month only, or you can get a larger discount going to the yearly membership. So let's dive in. Let's take a look, see what's going on. We're going to start with the dollar, and the dollar is still strengthening. Generally, when you see the dollar strengthen, most of the time you'll see higher interest rates. Now, we're right at resistance. The resistance that I'm referring to is that white trend line going up. And we'll see if there's any resistance here or if we cut on through it. One thing to look at would be yields. If yields continue higher, more than likely the dollar could continue on up. So let's look at yields. The 2-year yield looks pretty strong. It's in an uptrend, and that momentum is still higher at the moment. We've got the 10-year. We put in a nice little bullish engulfing today. It makes me think that we could try to go higher again. And we're right up against the crossroads of this resistance, that trend line, and then this trend line coming on up. So again, I still think that the momentum's to the upside here. I don't think it's turned yet, and we'll see if we can punch through it or not. The 30-year is sitting on top of all of that resistance. The resistance of this guy is now support. The resistance of this guy is now support, and we are sitting on top of it. And to me, it still looks strong to me. Big buying pressure candlestick there, or big yield candlestick up, smaller selling pressure down, and it looks like it's coming right on top of support to try to turn upward. But again, we'll see what happens over the next few trading sessions if that actually plays out that way. QIX TNX ratio, we are pulling back just a teeny bit. Momentum still to the downside, and that is a headwind for precious metals. It's not a tailwind. So that started here in September 26, 2024. We started getting headwinds from this and the yield curve. And this is staying inverted. So what we could see is a rotation into energy is possible. And perhaps precious metals may consolidate for a little bit. But again, playing the short term, I don't do the short term, guys. I just play the long term, and I'm going to stay long precious metals. I'm not trying to time this short term stuff. TLT bond prices are still above the downtrend. That still looks good to try to work its way on up. What that means is that yields would actually fall instead of go on up. But right now, and where yields are located, they don't look that bad at the moment. They still look good across the board, sitting on top of support for the 30-year, the 10 years underneath a lot of resistance. The 2 and 10, we are inverting. So we've got a downtrend. We were uninverting here. We were going lower, 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 and here it is. We're uninverting. And here we are inverting again. This is tough because we could stay inverted for a while. And there's nothing saying that we can't do that. But generally what occurs is you come up, you come down, and it cycles back and forth. And these are boom and bust cycles. Generally, the boom is the upward move, the bust is the downward move. And right now, a lot of people were betting on a bust move with this coming on down. And what I'm seeing is a broken downtrend line where we could potentially head higher and invert the curve again. So who's right, who's wrong? All I'm going to say is it's a difficult market condition. This is where the Peter Lynch's, the Warren Buffett's, the Howard Marks, all those guys would come out and say you can't really time these recessions very well. And this is exactly what we're going through. is these guys are trying to time it using the yield curve. They're saying, oh, we're going to go to recession. It's inverted. It's going to come back down. It's inverted. It's going to come back down. It's inverted. Going to come back down. We even came back down and then we stayed inverted. There's also there's a bunch of bonds being released on the short end of the 2-year or closer to the 2-year, which may be manipulating this as well. The gold's down a lot today, about $65 down an ounce, and we are coming on back, and the momentum's obviously to the downside. We haven't found support yet, and that momentum will continue until we do. We've got silver down about 2%. We're still above all of the support levels. So we are coming back. We are getting a consolidation return move. We've got good support here at, I'll extend it out, somewhere around 29 something, $30, 29 something. We have very strong support in the $25 range. We are still on top of everything. So it's still very bullish, sitting on top of this entire setup. Even if we come down like this, it's still a bullish setup on the longer time frame. Platinum down a little bit. We're still underneath that pesky resistance line that we've been trying to break for a long time. And we are still underneath it. And we'll see if we can close somewhere in this general region of where we're at with a higher low. Palladium also coming on back. We're right on support. It's this support line coming across here. I did it on logarithmic. This guy going across there. We've got stronger support down at $900 an ounce. That could be where we eventually end up, is coming back to this $900 an ounce region. GDX getting sold off pretty good, 5.9%. GDXJ down 5.3, back to support. This horizontal support line going across. And then SILJ down 5.7-ish% today. And we're still, yes, it's a big selling pressure day. And yeah, I'm sure people don't feel very good feeling a big selling pressure day. And the momentum is still to the downside. And we'll see if we can turn it around. Everything is still bullish on the commodity itself. So this is a pullback that we're getting, obviously. And we'll see where we get some support, wherever that eventually ends up. And we did get a little bit of buying pressure towards the end of the day on all of them. That's why there's wicks at the bottom there. But for the most part, they still look okay, and we're above support. And these very well could dance around for a little while and consolidate for some time. XE to gold ratio, we did sell off against gold a little bit further today. We are still above the important trend line down there. We get off logarithmic there. So there's the trend line coming across. We are still above all that. And we're at a very cheap ratio. So everything is still cheap in relationship to gold and silver. Mining companies in relationship to gold, we still have broken to the upside of that trend line. We just haven't made a big progressive move higher yet. Crude oil down about 3%, and we are still chopping sideways in this action here, right in that area. Some people say, oh, this is a shoulder, head, shoulder. Well, you generally don't have shoulder, head, shoulders at the bottom side. You generally find them at the tops of these areas here, not towards the bottom. I wouldn't say that's a legit head and shoulders. You see those more like this could be a shoulder, head, shoulder, where you come up and then you pull back like this. You generally don't see them. It's a trend reversal move. So you don't see them at the end of a trend and then have a reversal move at the end of a trend, because what are you reversing then? That's what I'll say. But we did come down today. The momentum is still to the downside. We've got good support at 67-ish dollars, somewhere around there. TTF gas up about 3.5%. Looks really good to work its way on up to the upside. Looks really, really strong for TTF gas. That's definitely in an uptrend. Natural gas in America is starting to break this downtrend line. We're up 10% today. And let me keep moving in here. So there's the trend line there, and I did it probably on the weeklies is my guess, but there's the trend line. We're trying to break through all this, and we'll see if we can break. It looks pretty good. Now, here's something interesting. We had crude oil down 3%. Natural gas was up around 10%. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, is up 1.5%. We've broken the downtrend line there, and we are still underneath this trend line going across here. We also have the trend line going across of the big boy trend line going across this way. Now, this is where it can get interesting. Sometimes these guys like to hit the commodity and then they buy the equities. They kind of do the backdoor trick. Um, so we've got this shoulder, head, shoulder that has developed. This is a trending move lower and the big reversal pattern here potentially. And we're on the right-hand side. We're getting some good buying pressure on the right-hand side here. Are we going to break through this resistance on XOP? We'll find out. It looks good. Momentum's to the upside. Now we got to get through that resistance. Now, we can look at some of the things that are around it too, like XLE, which is a larger fund of bigger companies. This is a consolidation breakout in progress. So XLE is actually sitting on top of all of its resistance. It's out on top of everything. And to say that this is bearish and to think that oil is going to go down to $40 or $50 a barrel, the market disagrees with you to hold that mindset because XLE and all these other ones are breaking to the upside. The positioning in these equities is for a bull market. I mean, just an FYI and how I'm reading this. OIH also getting some buying pressure here. This is all bullish from this trend line break onward. Big move higher, small selling pressure, and then another big bullish engulfing candlestick today. That looks good to continue higher, not lower. So this looks good to go on up with the more recent trading action. Now, obviously, it would be very nice to see natural gas continue its breakout and for oil to catch a bid to the upside. It would further instill confidence in people buying energy service and exploration production companies. Newcastle coal futures slightly lower today, surprisingly, but I think this is going to break higher. All the coal companies are breaking to the upside in terms of equities. I think it has something to do with the natural gas prices, and I think this will eventually follow suit. It'll follow TTF nat gas. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, it is still coming under some pressure, some selling pressure. Here we are coming on down, and that momentum is still downward. We haven't reversed that yet. We are in a gigantic flag pattern. Your flag is this guy here, and your pole is this big guy here. The way that you project this higher, and I might not do this perfectly right, but you can take from the breakout up, and what I usually do is I usually put it on the top, but I've seen people do this too, or the bottom of the flag. So maybe we go to $37, $38, or maybe perhaps we go from the top here, we go to 44. So $37 to $44 is probably where I would project it, is my guess. Right now, the momentum is still to the downside and we haven't turned yet. Uranium futures pricing continuing to head a little bit lower. That's got some momentum behind it. So we could pull all the way back here. It is possible. Is that my prediction? I don't have predictions, guys. I just follow whatever the charts are telling me. And there's your big breakout. So usually what you get is you get a big breakout move, and then you get a return move back to the breakout. And then it'll go higher. If that is the case, if we get that, we should be bullish on uranium. We should be bullish already. We should be looking for an entry point, and I think that's probably a decent entry point, at least for uranium futures. URA coming back a little bit, but we've got a lot of support underneath us here. We've got support coming across here, and we've got support coming across here. Now, we're kind of in the middle of support and resistance. We'll see if we can punch through. URNM doing the same thing. We've got broken down trend line. We've got support right across here, this double bottom. Generally, this is a good spot to be looking for potential investments. URNJ, another one doing the same thing as URNJ. Broken down trend line, and then the resistance support area below us. Copper down a little bit, still underneath this resistance area. This fractal looks very similar to the fractals I usually see before a breakout. Bitcoin has this fractal. Gold had this fractal before its breakout. Silver had the same fractal too, and it's like sitting up here for silver. So that looks good to potentially break higher for copper. COPX down 1.88, but again, we're sitting on top of trendline breakouts, and these are all facing downward. That's all bullish. I think that will continue higher on a longer time frame. Iron ore up a little bit. We're above support. There's the support, and I think this is going to go up with time. Stimulus in China, I think, is going to increase iron ore demand, and I think this is a good spot to be looking. It's a small pullback with small selling pressure candlesticks right to support. Aluminum still in this stinking pattern, man. Jeez, it just doesn't want to break. Been sitting in here. We came up, hit resistance again, and we've been selling off a little bit here recently. Nickel up 0.3%. It's trying to find a bottom here. We'll see if we can get one. Kind of a double bottom going on. Mu up 0.3, and we are, again, above the support level of the blue. That's the big long-term trend consolidation, breakout, retest. And then this looks good to go higher, in my opinion. Emerging markets down a teeny bit. Doesn't like that stronger dollar, stronger yields, but we're above support. Looks well poised for a potential move higher if we get a weaker dollar and probably weaker yields with that dollar is my guess. KRE continuing higher, up 3%. That still looks real bullish. I scribed out this pattern. Many technical analysis. I probably drew it there, I think. I just drew one across and drew it across, or maybe it was here. I don't know. But this has been in there for a while. It looks good to go higher. TAN down a little, or sideways from a really low level, and I don't know. This doesn't look that great for TAN, for solar, but it's hanging in there today. We've got lithium. That looks fantastic, up 5.9%, breaking out, and I do think we're going to see a break here and a move higher for lithium. If you want to know the lithium companies that I like, it's on the website. Go check out the midweek update. Check them out. This is a good time to be looking at those with this breakout here. A lot of them possess bottoming characteristics for the long term. Some of them pay a dividend yield too. REMX also looking like it's bottoming here, breaking the downtrend to the upside. Looks really good. Looks really good. This is an entry point that I would look at. I think we only have one rare earth metal company. There just isn't that much outside of China. And that's coming from a really low level here too. Good opportunity even for the ETF. Baltic Dry Index up 3%. I said this one was looking like it's trying to bottom here. It looks like it's trying to bottom here and work its way up. It's going to correlate with coal and iron ore. But Baltic Dry Index is also a good opportunity, and we did get it at that bottom there. At least I got a little bit. XHB continuing higher, up 0.43%. We're right up against resistance. We'll see which direction this goes. I'm surprised that the home builders are continuing higher in the face of an increasing 10-year yield. That is a little bit surprising. So we'll see if this is resistance and it rolls over, and if yields continue to go up, or if yields turn and this rolls on up. We'll see. Russell 2000 up 1.4%. Looking real strong here. Looks real strong. This is a big flag pattern here on this breakout, and that does look like it could continue higher. Now, I don't chase things that are up like this. Your buy point would have been when you're chugging sideways, in my opinion. S&P 500 barely up. We'll see if this rolls over. We've got the candlesticks opening and closing prices contracting, which means you're slowing in momentum. Sometimes these reverse, and we'll have to see what that reverse looks like. It might only be small little candlesticks down, which means it's bullish. If we get large selling pressure candlesticks, then it means that we're picking up momentum for the turn to sell off. NASDAQ, this is the same thing as the S&P. And guys, remember, valuations up here are overvalued for some of the companies. They do not have undervaluations. They're a little more richly valued, is what I'll say. SMCI continuing lower, down 5%, looking like total, you know what? We've got Nvidia down, surprisingly, down 1.6%. There's a little bit of buying pressure there. But the momentum is still to the upside, no trend line broken or anything like that. You got some resistance going across there, which will be support. So still looks good. Bitcoin just ripping it. We knew this though. We knew that this was a big flag pattern. I've been talking about the flag pattern. And you zoom in, we knew that we were broken above it. We had a positive setup, a breakout, and then a retest. And then here we are ripping to the upside. You guys should have known this already if you've been part of this daily update. That looks good. And again, guys, I don't chase things that are up there. You should already be positioned in this if you wanted to take a position. And your positioning should have been on this line here if you could do it. That would have been the ideal. Ethereum also heading higher with Bitcoin. And guess what that has? The same big old flag pattern. So what could you do? You could look at Ethereum for a potential entry point. The problem with this, though, this is a monster move here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And whenever things go up this fast in this vertical, sometimes you got to be a little bit shaky and afraid because sometimes they like to reverse quickly. So patience. You know, you should have been entered already. And then VIX, the VIX is coming on down, and they're pinning it down. They are pinning it down. So, you know, the real question or the real thing that I think of is we don't know who created Bitcoin. We don't know the cryptocurrency origins, so to speak. And what if they want you there? What if they don't want money coming and chasing into real things? Because real things equates to inflation. Inflation in the consumer price index and stuff like that. An intangible asset that has no value, and they can convince people to buy something just by the price going up because of FOMO and people wanting to buy it. So I'm not in that game. I don't, I looked at Bitcoin, I've looked at Ethereum, I've looked at cryptocurrencies. I don't like it. Doesn't mean that I can't, doesn't mean that I wouldn't be able to watch and look at the charts, and you guys can do whatever you want with it. It's just me and my personal opinions. Now, some people will say, well, it's going up. Why you're buying it, guys? You're buying it solely off the purpose that it's going up, and you think that you can make the easy money and get rich. That's what a lot of people think with trading, that they just trade whatever it is, and you can do that. That's just something that I need to believe in what I'm buying, no matter what it is. I need to have the fundamentals backing it, and I can't make a fundamental case for buying something that I don't believe in. So that's what I'll say there. But it looks really good. It could continue to go up, and that momentum is still behind it at this time. But that's what I've got for today. Thumb up for the content. Subscribe for the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys like. We have a question and answer session that's coming up Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Everything else has been posted. The Saturday question and answer session, I think, went well. That's posted on the website if you want to view it. And that's all I've got for today, guys. So we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.